pure, balanced, spacious. These are all words used to describe the sound of Blue Note recording artist Bill Charlap. He's also been called one of the best jazz pianists of his generation. We caught the Bill Charlap Trio at the Iridium Jazz Club.
Of course, there is the lyric, which seems so colloquial, you know, holding hands at midnight beneath a starry sky. It's nice work if you can get it, and you can get it if you try. It sounds so easy, but that's really masterful lyric writing. It's Ira Gershwin. To me, you don't just learn the melody and the harmony, you learn it with the lyrics. I wouldn't learn just the right hand or the left hand of a Beethoven sonata, or I wouldn't learn it without the tempo indications or the phrase markings or the dynamic markings. It's the same thing to me learning a song. You want to have a full picture of that song. Then there's the fact that it's Gershwin, and there is a quote from the composer Arnold Schoenberg about Gershwin, where he said that with Gershwin's music, the melody and the harmony aren't welded together, but they're cast. They're one and the same, almost. I think often as jazz musicians, we reharmonize composers' work, or we may change a harmony here and there to make it better for our purposes. With Gershwin's music, that's very hard to do because he's kind of given us the perfect harmony lots of the time. A standard is essentially a song written by one of the great songwriters in American popular culture, generally coming from American musical theater. Writers like Jerome Kern, Cole Porter, George Gershwin, Harold Arlen, Irving Berlin, Richard Rodgers, all of those gentlemen were writers for the theater, and their songs, though perfect for musical theater, also transcend musical theater and are a blueprint for the jazz interpreter. I also grew up around them. My father was Moose Charlap, who wrote most of the music for the Mary Martin production of Peter Pan, songs like I'm Flying and I've Got a Crow and I Won't Grow Up. And my mother is Sandy Stewart, who's a singer, a popular singer from her generation, who sang with Benny Goodman and was Grammy nominated in the 60s, was a regular on the Perry Como Show, the Mitch Miller Show. She was part of the culture of that music too. So I was surrounded by it and just drawn to it.
Bill's arrangements, you know, and the tunes that he comes up with, they're not always, they could be standards, but standards that like no one plays. I mean, I thought I knew a lot of tunes, but Bill really knows a lot of tunes. I mean, like George Gershwin, he wrote a lot of great tunes, but not all of them are played. Some of them, you know, they might have been done in one movie or maybe recorded by a vocalist or some artist, and they've been long forgotten. But Bill manages every time to find these gems. You know, he like unearths them and comes up with a hip arrangement, you know.
Both Kenny Washington and Peter Washington know the history of the music so well. They know all of the innovations that were left by the greatest players on their respective instruments, and yet they still bring their own personalities. You know, all of that informs their music, but they are distinctly themselves, and their connection to each other in terms of a rhythm section unit, the bass and drums connection, is a very profound connection. When you're playing solo, you don't have the bass or the drums to keep time for you. You don't have another musician to fill in the holes. You are essentially the entire orchestra. As a solo pianist, you're really on your own. You have to keep, the music afloat, in a sense. The audience can feel the time if you feel it strongly and if you imply it. You don't necessarily have to always play it all for them. Like if I were playing something like Jerome Kern's The Way You Look Tonight, I don't have to keep the time going all the time like this. That's perfectly all right, but I might want to go. You can still feel that pulse. If you're truly being extemporaneous, then it should have a vitality. One would hope that it has a vitality and a improvised nature that would make it vital, that would make it feel like it's fresh and that you're uncovering it for the first time.
I chose a seat above so I could see the keyboard, and he's thinking and he's working every second. You can see him improvising, and it's an inspiration.
That was Lenny's Pennies, which is written by the jazz pianist Lenny Tristano. And it's really the song Pennies from Heaven in the minor, with a lot more notes. Here's a great song by Vernon Duke. This is I Can't Get Started. There was a great quote by the jazz pianist Jimmy Rolls, who said, "If you have an idea, play half of it." You don't always have to spell things out completely. Maybe that's part of it. Of course, I don't think about these things while I'm playing. When I'm playing, I'm just playing.